We're the biggest podcast to ever exist. And you want to know why? Because we can do individual projects and we can podcast as a group. Hey, if that flimsy-ass reasoning is enough to start a beef with a legendary rap group, it's good enough for me. It's the Going On Podcast with Rap Critic Muse, and ladies and gentlemen, we have cracked the fucking code.
I looked at the comments of last week's episode, and I couldn't help notice that we missed some pieces of the puzzle as it related to the 21 Savage / Migos beef with Lazy Bone and Bizzy Bone. Apparently, it didn't happen as spontaneously as we thought. It's not too far off, though.
It's still dumb.
We pretty much knew what was said, we just didn't have the exact verbiage, but now we know. We have the clip.
We are the biggest group in the world to ever exist. Okay, so, first of all, verbiage. I get it. We're the biggest group in the world to ever exist. No, you're not. Not even members-wise, you're not even the biggest group to exist. You're three guys. And then he says, why? Because we can do individual and we can do as a group. He'd never heard of the Wu-Tang Clan. Like, if we're going purely on that, that's the biggest fucking group. Because, like, everyone had a fucking solo album before the second album even came out.
Offset said this, correct?
He looked high off his ass. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's not like this was like we as the group have come together to make a collective statement that we are better than every, fucking artist out there. No, this is a stupid fucking John Lennon, bigger than Jesus moment.
Yeah, it's exactly what this is. And I just thought it was ironic that it was your boy Offset, who is kind of notorious for being shitty with words or not really knowing what to say, because wasn't he the fucking I don't vibe with queers dude? At the end of the day, people were like, no, he doesn't actually mean it, like, he doesn't mean that. He just doesn't know how to put thoughts across. Oh, okay. That's a much better explanation. That completely is way better than the first thing I thought. Why are you defending this man? But anyway, yeah, you're right. It is a John Lennon thing, where John Lennon said that the Beatles were bigger than Jesus because, in his explanation, was that more kids at the time were listening to Beatles records and whatnot than going to church.
And it's like, I mean, is he wrong?
That's the thing. Lennon wasn't wrong in saying that.
He was just an asshole.
Yeah, should he have said it? No. Was the backlash in the States a bit excessive? Yes. But with Offset, I think what he means to say is, if I were to translate it into a more accurate statement, that Migos are likely the most relevant.
Yeah, like they're the most popular group right now.
They are the most popular, they are putting out individual solo projects, and they do have the most influence over, like what he was saying was how a lot of the music kind of sounds like them. They have influenced a sound and a flow, sure. Does that make you the biggest group? No, but that does put you on the list of, like, top at the moment, which would translate to you're the most relevant. Anything beyond that, I think, is a bit of a false claim.
Yeah, because, it's the hyperbole with which he said it. We're the greatest of all time. And it's just honestly, just looking at him, you can tell he's not, this isn't like him sitting on top of the world and be like, ha, 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 best lyricist in the entire industry. No one can he obviously just looked like he just was blunted and he just said that. And you want to know how I know that for sure? Because immediately he contradicted it in the following statement. Someone says, oh, well, do you feel like you're on top right now? And he says, no, I don't. I feel like I'm the underdog and I gotta prove myself. Because if you say you're the best, then, people expect that from you. But I'm like the underdog, so, I don't want to be the best. And I'm like, but you just said you were the best group of all time. And it's like, how do you take this interview seriously?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, this also shines a light on the problem with interviews with rap groups at these radio stations, because we didn't talk about it, but there was an interview about a month or two ago where they had Kodak Black in studio, and they actually were like, hey, look, we're going to acknowledge that you are in the middle of some really shitty shit right now. You've been accused of some very horrible things, and because you don't want us to talk about it, we won't, out of respect, but, I got to acknowledge it, and it's the elephant in the room, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't bring it up. And Kodak Black was like, if we don't talk about something else, I'm gonna leave. And the dude was like, all right, then fucking leave. That's it. You're not gonna fucking tell me what to do on my show. More people need to fucking have that backbone, so when Offset is in your fucking room and says, we're the biggest rap group of all time, someone in the room needs to be the fucking guy at TMZ who fucking stood up when Kanye was in the front of the room and was like, excuse me, that's bullshit? Or at least, like, laugh or something. But the problem with that is, which also is a transition to something we might talk about later, there is such a, you don't want to offend these people because they get so fucking touchy. Mm-hmm. Like, if you were to do that, now it's an insult. Now we're never coming back to this radio station. It's a big fucking assault on me. It's like, how about you just be a person and be like, hey, you said something that was dumb. This person's gonna call you out on it. How about you just kind of be like, yeah, you're right. That was a bit of an exaggeration. Maybe not. Like, because just act like a fucking human.
Exactly.
Why do you need to fucking be like, everyone needs to be this fucking, I got my gun in my pants, like, I'm a walking threat. Everyone needs to be afraid of me, of what I might say or what I might do.
See, and that's the thing that's annoying, because this whole beef popped off over a quote that he obviously did not say with any sort of meaning behind it. You know what I mean? Lil Wayne has been saying he's the best rapper alive for over a decade now. Who's coming at him? But Migos, in some interview that no one can even fucking find or quote, because we had to find it ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like Migos is at the Breakfast Club and they're saying some big shit. You know what I mean? Articles like this and interviews purely exist just so people can find little shit to just get mad about later. These publications, you see, they obviously don't go back. Because, like I said, I read a couple of publications trying to see if they would link back to the original thing, and they don't, because they don't care about what the context is. All they care about is, ooh, we have a beef, let's talk about it.
I still don't get 21 Savage's involvement, because all I read was that 21 Savage went on Instagram and defended Migos, and then fucking Bone Thugs were like, oh, well, you want some of this too.
And which shows how fucking sensitive these motherfuckers are. It's like, he didn't even say anything directly.
Now, you had sent me a video earlier today. One of my favorite parts of the story was the Instagram live video of Bizzy Bone brandishing a weapon on Instagram Live and
then being surprised.
The police being called on him. Yeah, and then being surprised when the police show up. He posted another video reacting to his being arrested. Now, the video is over 25 minutes. What did he do?
Look, I don't want to talk shit about anyone, especially someone who has a huge-ass fucking Elmer Fudd-style goddamn shotgun.
Fucking big chungus-ass gun.
But in the video, like, I'm watching it, because I'm like, maybe he's going to explain something. Maybe he's going to be like, hey, like, maybe I went a little off the handle, but, like, you don't say shit like that. Put words into context. I think it's going to be some sort of, like, let me explain. You know what I mean? The first minute, he's just, like, sort of laughing. And it's just like, you're doing the triumphant, haha, the police couldn't pull one over on me. But, like, you did say that they did arrest you. And, like, you did spend, like, a night or two in jail. And it was like, I mean, what was up with that, bro? Like, what's going on? Like, explain yourself. Like, you don't just laugh about it. Like, this is kind of a big fucking deal. Like, aha, I did it. I won. No, you didn't. You still went to jail for no reason. He goes like, he's doing a bit of laughing. Then he goes like, hold on a second. And then he gets, like, he points over to the right. And he goes like, see that over there? And he's like, yeah. That over there. And he doesn't really specify what it is. And then he goes like, wait, hold on a second. And then like blacks out the camera. It doesn't stop the thing. It just blacks out the camera. We hear nothing for like a minute and a half. And then he comes back and he's just like, yeah, well, anyway. And then you hear
no.
And it's like, and then you hear a bird, like some birds crowing off to the right of the camera. And he like does a look over to where the birds are, and he just goes like, "What up?" Like just very like in a way that was like, yo, he either actually thinks he's talking to these birds right now, or he is high off his fucking ass and like this should not be recorded. Like, someone do something. Like I don't know what you should do, but I feel like we shouldn't just be watching this guy right now. Like, I feel like something's wrong here.
His homeboys ain't shit. You said it. 21 Savage said it.
Feel like it's motherfuckers making mountains out of molehills. Because like I said, at the end of the day, I showed you the entire quote that Migos said in order to make a point. They did not mention Bone Thugs and Harmony at any fucking point. So, like, why was Bone Thugs and Harmony specifically pissed off? You know, like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. They were just inserting themselves into it just to do so. And then I read further, and, like, Turk from the Hot Boys, he had apparently, like, gotten into the fray early on and was like, you know, and he kind of made a point. He was like, hey, you know, maybe you guys are the best right now, but like, if you're going to say of all time, you know, that's like, a lot of you guys got your styles from us, us older cats and da-da-da. I'm like, that's a good point, but I don't think I'm alone in saying that, like, Turk and the Hot Boys was not on anyone's top 10 list. This would be like Chingy coming out of the woodwork and be like, hey man, respect your elders. Like, I mean, yeah, but... Like, what was the personality of Turk that made him so much different from Lil Wayne? You know what I mean? Like, at the time, like, oh, you know, it's like the Wu-Tang Clan, like, or like fucking Cards, like, oh, no, this guy's totally different from this guy. You know, Turk's the quiet one. Wayne's the,
you know, everyone has a favorite.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going back to the Beatles. They all have their own distinguishable traits. Oh, he's the funny one, and he's the cute one.
Migos is the definition of all style and no substance. So, like, at the very most, it should have been like, Migos said that they were the best rappers alive. Well, anyway, like, that should be the extent of the story.
So many people are, like, afraid. It's almost like the whole Trump thing. Like, no one wants to say anything bad about him as a journalist because they're going to lose the access. They're going to lose press credentials if we say anything because he's going to get mad. It's like, no, man, like, that's not something we should just be, like, accepting as a thing. Like, well, he's gonna get mad, so let's not say anything. It's like, how about you just treat him like a person, and if he gets mad, it makes him look bad. Like, if you laugh at Migos saying, you know, we're the best group of all time, and they all of a sudden get fucking super pissed, you know, I think that would reflect more on them than the guy that laughed.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree.
Like, imagine an interview where someone's like, I mean, the best? And then, like, the Migos, like, got super busy. What do you mean we're not the best? Fuck you, we're leaving. Like... Yeah,
because honestly, I think if someone did just be like, I mean, like, the best of all time? Like, maybe they'd be like, well, I mean, like, they'd probably step back a little bit. You know, maybe laughing at them flat out wouldn't be the smartest thing to do. But
yeah, okay, maybe don't fucking...
In retrospect. But if you did, like, just rationally, just be like, man, like, bigger than Wu-Tang? Like, they'd probably be like, well, no. I mean, not bigger than Wu-Tang.
Like, they'd probably say some qualifying thing that doesn't really make sense because... You know, I think we forget that interviews aren't exactly things that are etched in stone. They're just, hey, here's a question. Shit, whatever came to the top of your head to answer this specific question. You know what I mean?
It's basically like they're doing you a favor because they're giving you listeners. Because, what, is Migos have to promote their new project? Like, no. They're big enough that they don't really need you to spread the word. But, like, to have them in is almost like a privilege. So they're afraid of losing their privileges. Oh, well, we want Migos back. We can't talk shit on them. But at the same time, a lot of people probably agree that they are the biggest of all time or the best of all time. So they're not even going to think about, you know, they're not going to bat an eye when they make a claim like that. But the hypocritical, like, doublespeak of we want to be the best of all time, but we also want to be the underdogs that, like, the come from behind kid. I don't know what the fuck that is. Like, I think that might have been them trying to save face of, like...
Possibly.
People are going to come after us if we say that we're going to be the best. So maybe I'll walk it back a little bit. But the damage is already done. No one's listening that far in. They heard you say you were the biggest and the best. That's all they needed.
We need to have, like, I was thinking about doing maybe, like, a live streaming of the Beef docuseries.
I don't know how we would or what the context... or what kind of product we'd put out, if it would be like a video or just like a podcast like this, but maybe, you know what, maybe if, like, we watch it on our own time, right, like with the albums, because we've done this before with movies.
True.
And take notes, come back, and be like, alright, how valid was this beef?
Dude, that's a good fucking idea.
Or almost like the "Who won? You decide." We just talked about the alright. Who had the better claim in this beef? Who was right? Who was wrong? And we be the judge.
Let's do it.
We will reign as the judges over history's greatest and stupidest rap beefs.
Because I remember specifically, like, finding out about the Tupac one, where it was just like, I remember watching it and, intently, little investigator, like, oh, I'm a teenager. I'm going to figure out the mystery by watching these tapes. Like, obviously there's going to be something. Like, that's the thing. Whenever there was a whole decade of, like, Tupac documentaries that came out after he died. And it was just like, why the fuck is anyone watching these? Like, look, if it turns out this is the one where we find out who the killer is, we would know. You know what I mean?
You reminded me because we opted not to talk about the surviving R. Kelly thing just because what the hell else is there really to say that we haven't already said about the guy anyway, and the fucking series itself said way more than we could. But you reminded me that in the wake of that, they're now talking about another documentary about Michael Jackson and the accusations, and people were quick to be like, we already know they lied. They came out and admitted they lied and that they did it for money. What else is there to talk about? Like, this feels like beating a dead horse. This feels like, exactly. And the fucking the Neverland Ranch folks have come out and been like, yeah, this is all this is. Just trying to get some more money out of the Michael Jackson estate, and they're really just there really is nothing here.
You can't let a dead man rest, man.
Nah. And I know we've talked about that before because I remember there was that old story of like that raid where people found some questionable things, but like as far as the actual accusations, the kids who they're going to be talking about in the documentary, they fucking came out and were like, we were put up to it, nothing happened. Or if this is just a documentary about the whole thing, including the fucking false allegations or whatever, and just kind of puts it into perspective for maybe folks who don't know, who haven't heard everything about it. Like, I don't know. It does definitely feel like a retelling of the same story for the umpteenth time.
I remember one documentary in particular that I did not like about Tupac because the biographer, the dude doing it, he called him Tupac. And it was
oh my God.
He was British, but it was just like, I know British people, like, they wouldn't say that wrong.
No, you're right. They would know how it's pronounced.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like Tupac or something like that. It wouldn't be Tupac.
I thought you were going to talk about, which we might have talked about on the show before, the fucking American Dream. The Jackson story. Oh my God. I remember someone was like, what's a movie you could watch over and over again all day and not get tired of? And someone was like, dude, you could just fucking put on the Jacksons, An American Story once, and you'd be watching it all day. I remember that felt like the longest fucking movie when it would come on VH1 Movies That Rock.
I mean, hell, if you need to kill half a fucking day's worth of programming, hey.
It would always come on the weekends. We don't really have a whole lot going on. Here's the Great Balls of Fire, Jerry Lewis movie. Oh, yeah.
But the Temptations movie, the
Temptations movie, there was a Meatloaf movie.
Look, we know you're gonna fucking watch it.
We know you want to see how bad into drugs Meatloaf got in the 80s. You're dying to know.
Just precisely how much into drugs he was getting.
Now, there was one thing, and normally, your boys, the Bad Boys of Podcast, have a reputation.
The best podcast of all time.
In addition to the best, in addition to the baddest, we are almost always late to the party on things. But, however, today, no, I will not allow it to happen, because an hour before we started recording, the Gillette, Best a Man Can Be, video dropped on Twitter, and it's getting a big response from both sides of the aisle. We'd both watched it, and we both feel some things about it. We don't exactly feel some type of way, as some are But I'm pretty sure Gillette knew that people would react the way people are reacting. And it's not gonna harm them as much as I think people dropping their razors in the toilet think that it's gonna harm Gillette.
That's not gonna do anything. It's just like this is the same thing as the people burning Nikes. Like, stop thinking that buying things and then burning them or whatever the fuck is the key to, like, oh, that'll show them. Like, how small do people feel in their lives? Or like, this is the best I can do to show some sort of like disobedience, you know? Buying something and then burning it.
I am seeing some people who are still overreacting, but are thinking of how a boycott works better by saying, hey, I'm switching to like Dollar Shave Club.
Okay, yeah, that at least makes
Harry's.
sense.
Like, okay, I get it. If this video, which we'll discuss in a second, pissed you off that much, that's the way to do it. Switch. But I'm just going to go on a limb here and say that, like, these people probably aren't going to stick with a subscription service long.
Probably not.
Like, they're going to try it once, and then they're going to get, they're going to get sick of it, or sick of paying for all the shit they don't need.
And they're going to forget why they fucking protested in the first place.
Dollar Shave Club is one of these companies that they dropped Hannity as a sponsor just until people weren't looking, and then they went right back to advertising on them.
Yeah.
So maybe people are like, hey, they're the conservative choice because they advertise on Hannity. So basically what the video is, it's a commentary on the overarching phrase of boys will be boys and let's not allow this type of behavior, essentially. Let's not sit back and accept...
Shows kids bullying each other and
bullying, sexual harassment was a big part of it. And that, this shit isn't okay, and there's no reason to allow it to continue, and we should be raising the next generation of boys better.
I want to talk specifically about the commercial and its function as people who are not beholden to Gillette as a company, right? Like, I don't owe Gillette anything. What ads, what movies, what all of these pieces of media show, they are imitating what they are seeing in real life, right? They would not have a commercial saying we should raise our boys better. They wouldn't have this commercial if there was not the people, for the past year saying, wait a minute, we're not dealing with this shit anymore. We're not going to put up with it. So on one level, Gillette is just a company that is just doing this because, it'll help their brand be seen more positive in the future years when toxic masculinity shit is a thing of the past. That is what they're doing. They're getting out ahead so that they can be like, look, we were the first ones. We're all about, trying to teach you to do the right thing. But, I mean, I'm sure someone can go back probably 10, 20, 30 years and find a really sexist Gillette commercial. But the thing about it is, it's just like, the reason why people even made that sexist Gillette commercial was because they looked around and they were like, oh, it's okay to use this to advertise to people. Like, advertisers are not our friends. They're just imitating what we want to see. And we have the choice of whether or not we want to deal with it. And yes, I would rather live in a world where we had ads that did say, hey, let's stop raising boys in such a fucking toxic manner. As an individual in society who does not give a fuck about a company called Gillette, I do appreciate that there is media out there that didn't need to, that is taking the time to be like, hey, let's actually do have a positive message in our commercial. Objectively, I think it's good because I do not see anything directly in the commercial that seems contradictory or hypocritical to the statement, right? That's why that commercial last year didn't work, the Kylie Jenner one, because it's so tone deaf to what the reality of the situation is. This commercial felt actually very, like, don't you hate those fucking commercials that try to act like they're pro-gay by just showing two people of the same gender with a kid, and they don't really show them kissing or doing anything that could really indicate that they're actually in a relationship. They just show, hey, look, two guys just happen to be with a kid. One could infer that they are in a gay, you know what I mean? Like, they very explicitly were like, no, this behavior is not okay. And I did appreciate that. Like, that's the problem with that commercial last year. It's not necessarily that a protest was in a commercial and we don't like the idea of a protest being in a commercial. It was the context. The context was, wait, you think Like, what do you think we're actually mad about? You think motherfuckers are just protesting just to protest? Join the conversation? What is the conversation? This commercial said, here is the conversation, toxic masculinity, and it did something about it. So in that respect, I do think it's cool. Like, I'm not necessarily just going to buy a Gillette razor just because they did this, but I like that they did it. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. I don't buy Gillette products. I don't plan on buying them. As we were talking about it, I went on the Procter & Gamble website. They claim to be against animal cruelty and animal testing in all countries where it isn't required by law, i.e. China. So that's a plus. Still, I don't plan on buying the products just because of that.
Yeah, I don't owe you just because you're doing the right thing. You were supposed to do that. Right?
Same thing with Nike. Like, I loved that they did the ad with Colin Kaepernick, but they still use slave labor, so I'm not buying their shit. With this, though, I think this brings up a very interesting topic of what I saw someone refer to as corporate wokeness. And corporations will be the ones to lead more people into this type of, like, mentality, it seems, because we can't rely on government officials to. Advertising itself is its own type of, it's brainwashing you to buy this product, right? Like, it's infiltrating. If that's what it takes to get this message across to people that, you know, maybe don't act so shitty.
I see what you're saying.
It's been proven effective, is the point. With the backlash specifically to this, it's people who are the problem. It's a bunch of hateful, super masculine types. And I'm going to go ahead and say this because people are taking this ad as way more of an exaggerated attack than it actually is. It's not an attack at all. It's a call for action, if nothing else. That masculinity isn't a problem. The fact of the matter is, it's when masculinity takes on another role in someone's life, when it leads to aggressiveness, when it leads to assault.
There's nothing wrong with saying, I am a masculine person. The issue comes in as soon as you say, and you have to be, as soon as you say that, you fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, you can be, personally, whatever the fuck you want, but as soon as you say, and now society says that since you are similar to me, you have to be, fuck you. You know what I mean? As soon as you say that, fuck you.
It's very telling that a majority of the people who are super mad about this, posting memes about it, their go-to is to be sexist and misogynistic and blatantly, grossly transphobic. Exactly. What they go to is photos of people in drag with beards and say, these are the only people that are going to be buying Gillette from now on, making it like, well, now Gillette is clearly a woman's product because us men, right men, we've all had it. You're insulting 90% of your market, and that's a big mistake. What if Tampax? And it's like, well, see, that's the problem there, gents, is that while Tampax are only used in one way, razors are not specifically gender exclusive.
Right.
And in that way, I've seen a lot of women actually step up and be like, yeah, this ad is great, but can we also take a second to address that a razor, merely because it's colored pink, is that much more expensive because it is advertised as a razor for women?
I bet you Gillette don't want to have that conversation.
One issue at a time, please. Everyone take a number.
We will take on the issue that affects our pockets the least. And that is the extent of corporate activism.
People I'm seeing talk about it the most are your alt-right types.
They think that toxic masculinity is masculinity. And so it's just like, the fact that you think that says something about you. You know what I mean? Like, that says what you think masculinity is. But, you see, what we're learning now is that we don't necessarily have to all follow the loudest, most angry guy in the room anymore as to what is normal, you see. We can actually let cooler heads prevail. You see, that's what's kind of happening now, and you're mad that you're like, wait, but everything was going my way, god damn it.
Another argument I'm seeing a lot of people say now is, don't tell me how to raise my kids. On a surface level, you can see, well, you know what? Maybe as a company, Gillette maybe is overstepping the bounds. But, well, see, no, if you're taking it as, stop telling me how to raise my kids, you realize that it's a thing that exists. Deep down, you know it's a problem. you don't care enough to fix it.
Those who are abused, they think it's the norm. They think it's okay. They grew up their whole lives with this, horrible person doing something horrible to them, and they grew up thinking, oh, well, that must be the way it is. I don't even think of this as something that's bad. I'm going to do it to the next person. And you can see it with one or two celebrities that kind of get caught out saying some dumb shit, and they're like, oh, well, when I was, molested at 13 by a 40-year-old or something like that, I was fine with it. That's usually how people rationalize it. Because if you say something bad happened to me, now you have to think about the fact that, oh, shit, and maybe this was affecting my life, and oh, shit, maybe I've been really shitty this whole time because that behavior wasn't okay. And now that person who did it to me, they're not here anymore. So now it's just me answering for the shitty things I did.
The biggest takeaway, in addition to the anti-bullying, anti-sexual harassment, the biggest takeaway, which I think is the most important, holding each other accountable, which is the main solution, honestly, I think, because at the end of the day, people aren't going to listen to Gillette, especially because they think this is either condescending or some type of an attack on their way of life. But it's going to be the dude at work who on a daily basis you go to lunch with, the someone in your family you respect, is going to sit you down and be like, hey, look, that's really fucked up. Maybe don't do that. Gillette knows that the people who are the problem aren't going to change because of this commercial. The people that this is actually going to reach are the people who already think that way, that can possibly have an impact. Like I had said, the people who can get in those people's ear. I know some people in the comment section are probably gonna, call us some names for this, but fuck you. I'm sorry.
Go to listen to your number 2 podcast in the world.
the ones that don't tell you how to raise your kids, the ones that don't try to shame you for being bullies or homophobic or transphobic or misogynistic.
Look, there's a lot of things we got to do to live this here lifestyle of being the best podcast in the world, and unfortunately, one of those things is making sure that to not be a shitty person. Unfortunately.
It ain't easy, folks. I know you tune in on a weekly basis, and you just think, man, Rap Critic and Muse, they make it seem so easy. They make it seem like they don't got a care in the world. Just to give you an idea of how hard this podcast is, can we just fucking go in for a second on how we were supposed to start recording an hour before we actually got started? Because fucking Google Hangouts decided to fuck us over, and then Discord decided to fuck us over to where we're having to record it over the fucking phone?
Dude, I don't know what's happening. I'm recording this under fucking covers, holding a pop filter because I can't get it to fucking attach to anything.
I know you're listening to the super edited down, polished product that I painstakingly slave over for days, and you think it's so luxurious, the lives we lead. I'm sitting in the dark right now, because I know if I turned the shit on, I'd be sweating by the end of this. We've had this discussion about how sometimes I'll just fucking record without pants on because my body heat just gets so fucking elevated on having to fucking stay on for the whole time we're recording that it takes a lot out of you. Yeah, now, I'm not trying to deter people from recording a podcast of your own. I'm not trying to make it seem like this is way more taxing than it actually is, but we got it hard out here, too.
we work hard to be the best podcast in the world, specifically because we can do projects individually and together, I just thought about something. What if in the interview, someone does actually talk back to Migos, right, to Offset? He goes yeah, I believe, we're the best group in the entire world because, we do individual projects and then we can do projects together. Isn't that genius? And then someone goes what about the Wu-Tang Clan? And he just goes shut up! This is totally different!
Dude, you fucking referenced the only movie I ever fell asleep during in the theater. I was... Okay, look, boy, how old was I?
That was 2000?
It was a summer bus trip where it was almost like a summer camp, but instead of actually going to camp, every Saturday in the summer, you took a bus trip to somewhere kind of cool. And just to give you an example of some of the places we went, one week it was a trip to NBC Studios. You get to walk around. We saw...
was that where you saw the SNL bit?
Yeah, we saw an SNL skit being rehearsed, and there was another one we took a trip to the Play-Doh factory, and then there was one we took to a Thomas Edison themed corn maze.
What the fuck?
Because Edison, New Jersey, you gotta learn your history, and what better way to learn your Thomas Edison history than by walking through a maze, and every time you hit a dead end, taped to the wall of corn is a Thomas Edison fact you can then read and learn.
That is so, like, I want to say lame, but I don't want to offend people who are, but like, yo, what is the other
fine
word?
Folks who run amazing mazes.
Like, that is not fun at all. Like, this is, like, I often wonder about, like, people who send kids on, like, boring trips like on this. It's like, the kids just should look up at the adults and be like, aren't you bored too? Like, what the fuck?
Dude, everyone was miserable. The fucking chaperones that were with us, it was hot. It was in the summer. We were just walking around. We're lost in a maze. We're all miserable and angry.
You're doing this for the kids, but the kids don't want to be here. So why the fuck are you doing this?
But even then, I fell asleep during that Rocky and Bullwinkle movie. I don't know why we took a bus trip to see the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie. I guess it was new at the time. And yeah, I fucking passed out during that shit. That was the last thing I was expecting you to reference.
I have a strange soft spot for that movie. But I have a soft spot for any movie that came out in the 2000s, because that was when my mom worked at the movie theater and I could go to see any movie I wanted.
Oh, shit. That's the life.
So I watched the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie a lot.
You take what you can get, I guess.
Exactly. And there's that critical mass of, like, I've watched this enough where it's like, well, of course, I gotta like it now. I've seen it so many times.
And I've already come this far.
And fucking Keenan and Kel are in it. I can't hate on that. That was like the last.
Are they?
Yeah, it's like the last real appearance by them. That's kind of why I watched it. That's part of it, Yeah, it's a historical thing for a kid like me.
6 degrees of separation. I saw Good Burger in the theater.
Look at that.
With the Action League Now short airing before the movie.
Oh shit, I don't remember an Action League Now short.
It was featuring the band Kiss, because there were Kiss action figures out at the time. So they found a way to weasel them into the short.
That's kind of slick, actually.
The Action League Now group are going to see Kiss, and I don't remember.
Yeah, you like that, kids?
Oh yeah, all the kids were loving Kiss in 2000.
They were kind of trying to make a resurgence in the late 90s, weren't they? Because like they took,
Psycho Circus, yeah.
Yeah, and they were on Mad TV in 1 or 2 episodes.
Oh, well, who wasn't on Mad TV? Fucking WCW superstars left and right.
True.
We never talked about this, and I know we're going off on a whole thing, and we've got 2 albums to review, but yeah, in its purest, truest form, going off, we talked about the WCW Mad TV thing where, you got Will Sasso playing Jesse Ventura, and you got Bret Hart as like an interviewer, and he fucking takes the bit too far, and he puts Deborah Wilson in an armbar and hurts her and hits Will Sasso with a chair or whatever. That's old hat. That I knew about. I've seen that. What I wasn't aware of until very recently was that they actually took it as far as to have Bret Hart and Will Sasso have a match on WCW television?
Oh my god!
Deborah Wilson walks down to the ring with Will Sasso and, spoiler, turns on Will Sasso and hits him with a chair!
This actually okay, so here's the thing.
This is a real match, yeah.
I saw a couple of skits on Mad TV, and it was just like, oh yeah, we're actually gonna face Bret the Hitman Hart. We're not gonna let him get away with that. Da-da-da. I thought they were just fucking around for the skit. I didn't know they actually did that shit.
They went as far, yeah, they gave him a whole entrance and you walk down the ramp, the 2 of them. Oh, it's
That's funny, because the way the skit worked is like, it looked like one of those like, the joke is, Bret the Hitman Hart, I'm gonna kick your ass because, you're not training as much as me and da-da-da-da. And he's like, yeah, Deborah, how much do these guys even train anyway? And he's like 12 hours a day. And she's like, oh shit, really? Oh, okay. All right, well, I gotta get back to work. And So the way it was portrayed, it was just like, well, okay, he's not actually gonna work 12 hours a fucking day. You know, he's not really gonna do it. This is a joke. But to see that this actually happened, he obviously lost, right? There's no fucking way. They're not gonna disrespect the audience that goddamn much and have Will Sasso win this fight.
The match went for about 4 minutes. It was Bret the Hitman Hart versus Will the Skit Man Sasso. Yeah, it was bad. The audience hated it. Everyone hated it. I don't know why you'd force that on people. No one wants that.
Okay, so we're seeing what the big move was. So that whole skit was on purpose to be like, oh, we're setting up that we're angry at each other.
There was a time where WCW was beating WWF in the ratings, and it all turned one night when they actually on air said, hey, well, on the other show right now, because it was pre-taped, they go, a guy that used to wrestle here, he's winning their world title tonight. So if you want to see that, you can go over there. You can watch that crap. And everyone did. And then... and the ratings from that point on completely swapped, and people...
Wait! That simple! Did he fuck himself that easily?
They fucking came back from commercial break, and the announcer was trying to be slick. He goes, hey, a wrestler who used to wrestle here is under the name Cactus Jack. He's over at the WWF right now as Mankind, and I'm gonna let you know, because that show's pre-taped, that he's gonna win their world title tonight. Oh yeah, that'll put the butts in the seats. Immediately, when all the television sets changed over, and nobody watched the ending of that episode of Nitro. No one gave a shit. Because they're like,
dude, it would be so
what?
sad. Like, even the audience members were like, oh shit, wait, really? I gotta get my butt over there right now? Wait, it's pre-taped. Oh, cool. We can just get home and watch.
Oh, good. We can still make it home in time. Whatever your fucking main event is, who cares? But the point is, the reason I bring
Will
that
Sasso versus Bret the Hitman.
Oh, no. The reason I bring that up is because, yeah, Will Sasso and Bret Hart, that's 99. That was after the tide had changed. So, that was WCW thinking, Mad TV's hot right now. What if we advertise our wrestling show on this super popular sketch comedy show on Late Night Fox? That'll get everyone to watch our show. And then they fucking switch over, and it's just, yeah, Will Sasso getting the absolute shit kicked out of him. Stomped. Thrown around. It actually is impressive to watch how well Will Sasso is at taking these bumps. Well, then he already was a trained wrestler in, like, high school.
That's what I think it is. It's like, because Will Sasso is a funny fall guy. Like, he's a Chris Farley type of dude.
Right, yeah. With all that said, I think it's about time.
Oh, it's about that time.
It is about that time when we play that game. We're switching gears to our 2 Patreon-requested album reviews. We gotta start with yours.
Oh, do we?
Yours came out in 2007. And it sounds like it. We're gonna get to that first.
Yeah, it really sounds like it.
Setting the Bar by Dead Poet and Wildcard. Can I make... I want to make two requests.
Okay.
To the people requesting the albums, and I don't think they're hard requests. First, which is a personal preference, could you stop requesting albums where they drop the F word all the time? That's really hard to listen to. But second, and I think this is a bit more practical of a request, can you request an album where the lyrics are online so we could actually follow along to it?
Yeah. Like,
it makes it so hard to review an album when only like 2 or 3 songs are online.
Yeah, it's like, I hate to be a dick, but it's just like, God fucking damn it. Because we gotta write some of these lyrics down, and I fucking hate.
There has to be a prerequisite here.
It's like, please, just, if you can find the lyrics, then yeah, request away. And the reason why I specifically say that is because, you know, look, if it's a good album, if it's a great album, I wouldn't mind going back. You know, flip it back. Hey, reliving the good moments. Not when it's what we've got today.
before we completely jump headlong into this, who is to blame? Who requested Setting the Bar by Dead Poet and Wildcard?
Shout out to Julian Enns, and I'm sorry for what we're about to do. This is the
second week in a row we've done. I apologized for last week's. I said the exact same thing. I'm sorry for what we're about to do.
Because it's like, this is one of those, it's like, underground guy that probably meant a lot to someone. This isn't translating, y'all. So, okay, Setting the Bar by Dead Poet and Wildcard. First of all, we get this intro, possibly the most epic intro I've ever heard in my entire life.
For what? Why?
That's exactly my fucking point. I was like, but you did. Look, let me tell you, the emotional. You have this fucking intro, which is just like incredible music, and it's just like, I feel like I'm about to watch the start of a fucking movie. I feel like I'm about to listen to some fucking Wu-Tang 93 type fucking album.
Yes.
You know, no, fuck that fucking Raekwon the Chef sampling, you know, all these fucking cool ass movies and shit. You know, I'm thinking we're gonna get, it's like, you know, the triumph of evil is not to, you know, evil people, but to good men who stand aside while evil occurs. Like, oh shit. And it's like right before the song ends and you hear this really epic boom, you know, it's like, okay. And then we get into Desperado. Oh, first track. Let's listen to what the lyricists have to whet our palate for what's coming, especially after such an epic intro. What is the lyricism? What are the way these words are gonna flip that's just gonna make our minds fucking boggle? First lyric: I'm a desperado searching desperately with desperation. Oh, man.
Not what you expected, was it?
Anyone could have fucking done that. Anyone can see that words have certain roots to them that are similar and go, hey, look, I am impossible at impossibly doing this impossible task. Yes, I know, fucking words are the same root. That's not creative. That's just, anyone could have fucking done that. You know what I mean? It's just like, are you fucking serious? Did you really just start this fucking... And this album is so... These guys want to impress the shit out of you with their lyrics. These motherfuckers, you cannot tell these guys that they are not the cousin of fucking Eminem himself. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's a lyric in one of these songs where it's like, I'm like Eminem's cousin that went crazy and does drugs. It's just like...
I think they might have actually said that at some point.
Yeah, and I might have written it down, so we might actually get to the specific song.
I did get a taste of that, too. There's a lot of... It's not on bizarre level of try-hard shit. Like, we're gonna gross you out, we're gonna weird you out. But there definitely are some tracks where it's like, you can tell they're trying to go that extra mile, try to get a reaction out of you. And, you know, I was flip-flopping a lot on this album, on whether or not I liked Dead Poet and just didn't like Wildcard.
That's exactly where I was as well.
Or if I just didn't like either of them.
Yeah, like, when it does the little back and forth at the end of Desperado, delivery is important too, right? And as you're listening to these lines, it's like, there's no aggression. There's no, like, anger in what they're saying. There's no, like, amping it up. They're just delivering it like their normal, like, battle rap lines. And it's just like, okay, well, it sounds like you don't realize that that's weird. And so it's like this weird dissonance, you know? So the first two verses are all just battle raps, right? They're all, we're the best, we're desperately desperate for desperados or whatever the fuck is that.
The chorus on that song was especially shitty.
Oh, and he says, you get swept off your feet by a headless horse. Now your knight in shining armor beat your head full force. Why is the horse headless? Okay, because it's supposed to be the headless horseman. The guy on the horse is... Alright, but okay, the horse doesn't have a head. And then your knight in shining armor, the knight in shining armor who was supposed to be helping you, apparently is beating you full force? What? What? What?
Is this Urban Dance Squad?
Like, they're trying so hard to be like, look how super lyrical we are. And it's just like...
You know, I really do got to give it to him. I could have hated this album so much more.
That is true.
Than I actually did. I ended up giving it a 2. There are some tracks on here, and they tended to be the ones where I think it was just Dead Poet without Wildcard. Tend to be the ones I liked more. But songs like All in My Mind, I actually thought that one was okay.
Yeah, see, and I'll get to that in a second, because I want to get through this fucking Desperado track with these shitty-ass fucking lyrics. First 2 verses are just like rap lyrics, battle raps, whatever. And then they start trading verses about having sex and killing a prostitute that happens to be your girlfriend, of course. He's like, getting head from your girl, I'm blowing on purple kush, got her gagging on my dick while her makeup just turns to mush. Her mascara's running, mixed with a lip liner. Should have listened when they told you never pick up hitchhikers. Now you're lying in a grave in a corner of a forest. You ain't gorgeous anymore. Them holes are enormous. Yeah, just like a hooker after I fucked her, coming out of the water looking like lightning struck her.
It was at that point where I realized that they're both kind of shitty.
These guys have not come across a lyric that they've ever written that was wordplay that they ever crossed out. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like they never came to some wordplay that was like, maybe that's a little overwritten. Maybe that's actually kind of corny and doesn't work. It's like every fucking first draft lyric got in.
There was nothing left on the cutting room floor.
Fucking dog tags. Can we talk about that one?
Yeah.
I had no idea where the fuck this song was trying to go. At first, I thought it was supposed to be like a, hey, you know, shout out to all the boys. Not necessarily for the army itself, but for the guys that are over there, you know, doing what they have to do. You know what I mean? Like, I can get that on a very basic level. But then he goes into detail in a way that seems like it's criticizing it. This one's here for all the cats in Camp Pendleton or wherever the fuck that F-word Bush is sending them. And... You know, immediately you know this was 2007. To all the lonely wives who ain't got nothing on the table, disgusted in the navel, getting fucked to pay the cable. And so that just felt like a weird, oddly misogynist line to throw in there.
There was a lot of painful misogyny, which I tried to overlook as much as I could for the sake of actually, like, reviewing the content itself. There were a lot of songs where it just made the songs very hard to enjoy at all.
It's not regular misogyny, it's like exploitative misogyny, because all the women they talk about are always fucking meth addicts.
The album's very dated. If it's not the vernacular, it's the beats and production, which we haven't even got to the beats. They're garbage.
Yeah. The problem mainly was, like I said, it didn't know specifically what it wanted to do, because, like I said, it had the lyrics where it's like, yeah, shout out to, you know, the boys that are in the army. But then it had a specific lyric where it's like, you know, this guy used to be soft as a piece of cotton, now he's acting wild. He just smoked an Iraqi child like a pack of Black and Milds. And it's like, okay, no, well... I do not have sympathy for the people you're talking about now, because you just said they killed a kid, like, you know,
yeah, like
that,
am I supposed to cheer for that?
Yeah, like it just didn't work, you know, they didn't know what they were doing.
Stomping Grounds is where it almost started to turn around, because while I thought the beat was trash, again, I thought the lyrics were better on that one, and actually had a bit of a stronger message than what it had going on, but it really picked up for me with All in My Mind, which I thought was the best track overall thus far.
I just saw a lyric from Stomping Grounds that I quoted, and it was just in fucking bad taste. He's like, better move in packs in them Hilliard Mountains or catch bad luck like proof in the billiard room.
Oh my god, that's right. I forgot to write that down, but I gasped at that.
Yeah.
When that fucking came up, I was like, oh... Wow.
Like, dude.
For what reason?
It's that fucking Chino XL type of rap where like, ooh, I'm saying something that's super outlandish, like...
Dude, you just said exactly what was on my mind.
Yeah, like, as much as I dig Chino XL and he's dope lyricists, it's just like, you know, I'm trying to listen to Creep, you know, which is a song about, like, hey, you know, yeah, my relationship is bad, and he keeps talking about, thinking about taking my life like Marlon Brando's daughter. It's like, hey, you didn't need to fucking say that.
No, I was thinking of Riot, where he says something about Tupac getting raped in a shower.
That was the lyric that caused the beef between Tupac and Chino XL, and I'm like, that's kind of warranted. Like, why are you even joking about that?
The beef judges have come to a decision.
On that one, yes.
That Tupac was in the right. Checklist, though,
worst song on the album, bro.
Is it the worst?
Oh, man.
I thought the flow was okay. I thought the beat and the sample were better than on previous tracks. It still got a 2.5, so it still wasn't good.
It's not like these guys aren't lyrical, right? There's no quality control on certain lines and how they can really pull down a song, man.
And that brings it to 5150, which I think was just Dead Poet, which I thought was one of the stronger tracks.
Yeah, I dug this one, yeah.
Very straightforward, telling you like a story. And it was at that point where I was like, okay, I have a very clear favorite. It's fucking Dead Poet. And I was thinking in my head, who's the one dropping all the F-bombs? Is it Wildcard or is it Dead Poet? And I think they might have traded off at some point. I think they might have actually said it at some point.
He has a lyric in 5150. He says, and this is about like his life and stuff. And he says, I used to walk down the street feeling too poor to exist, trying to find a way to get put on a coroner's list. And like, it's lyrics like that are like really dope. Like feeling too poor to exist. Like that's such a strong thing. Like, you know what I mean? When you're like 15, you have no money, you just walk around town. It's like, look at all these businesses that I can't do anything about because it, you know what I mean? Like if you don't have money, you don't matter to society. Like that is a fact. Dude, now I remember why Checklist is one of the worst ones. Oh man, these fucking horrible lyrics. The way music is binging makes me sad, son. Like talking about a kid's to a bitch who doesn't have one. And there's a word he used. He said, the way music is something, it makes me sad, son. And the most I could hear was binging. And this is why I really wish we could have the lyrics. But, you know, I'm not going through the trouble to try to fucking write this. Like, you know what I mean? I don't trip when any MC comes at me. Because the only one who can maybe beat me is the younger me.
Ah, that's right. I remember that line. Yeah. It is clumsy. It's not a bad thought. It's a shitty line.
Yeah. And it also implies that you're getting worse.
You're getting worse with age.
Like,
yeah.
Because the younger person could beat you.
You should have heard our other albums. This is by far our worst so far. And they're only gonna get worse.
And this is the lyric that just made me go like, okay, I can't do this anymore. He says, I ain't new to this. I've been in numerous uteruses. Fusing booze and music, getting beautiful gluteuses. I'm repulsive in appearance. Bitch, I'm far from a looker. So ugly, I had to drug and date rape a hooker. Let's just put aside just the shittiness of what that last lyric is on his face. Because we already know that. The thing that gets me is he just directly contradicted himself here. He just says, I ain't new to this. I've been in numerous uteruses, getting lots of gluteus. Like, I get pussy. You know what I mean? Like, I get laid. But then the very next lyric is, I'm repulsive. The only way I could have sex is if I drug and date rape someone. So it's like, not only is this sexist and fucking horrible, it doesn't even make any fucking sense. Like, you could at least be consistent with your shittiness. That's all I'm fucking saying.
Quick and Dirty and Take a Mile, fucking back to back. You got Quick and Dirty, which is just more of Wildcard's Eminem try-hard shtick. His fucking, I'm sexist, but I'm not really sexist, though. That was so pointless.
Dumb, yeah.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
I'm not disrespecting the ladies, okay, but if you cared, you wouldn't be saying all this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and then look, don't even try. Like, just go full hog already.
Take a Mile specifically might be the worst, because it's trying to be dark and gritty.
There's never a song where I feel like, ooh, this was a cool pocket of like a dark emotional song where I can go to this for that. It just feels like we heard a bunch of Eminem songs and we want to make them too.
Intervention, I thought was okay. The rhymes and wordplay on that track actually stood out because it was like, wow, effort.
It was actually like a concept that they kind of went through with. It was like the first verse was them doing, and I think that's why it worked, because so much of this album is just like, drug raps, and I'm fucking methadone addicted hookers in a back alley while the, you know, whatever the fuck. But like the other guy comes in, first of all, he goes like, fuck you for saying that last lyric that you said. It was like some lyrics like, I'm so high, I'll fuck up, da-da-da. And he goes like, wait, fuck you. But also, you should stop doing drugs as much. Like, It was so weird the way like, the song's called Intervention, so you're thinking it's just gonna be like, hey man, get off the drugs, da-da-da. But, like, it has that, but it also just starts off very hostile. So it's just like, fuck you, asshole, you're a piece of shit, but you should probably get off drugs. So I dug that. That was definitely a nice switch up of the whole thing. Puppets on a String, that was the one I literally wrote. The second verse is trying way too hard to be Eminem, but without any of the intensity.
That was at that point I wrote down that, like, I'm trying to just kind of look at lyrics as they are and not judge this shit, but, like, I can't even look past this shit. The beat was okay on that one, though, if that means anything.
I can't remember liking that one. I didn't say anything about it, so... I'll take my dick out and let your bitch lick away. Obligatory gross slurping sounds, because of course. Then let my trigger spray, let the bullets ricochet. I told you a dick a day would lead to clit decay. You ain't listen, now you sitting on a shit or pissin' rave. I'll fuck you with the mic and give you syphilis and AIDS. Clit decay? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, the thing is, like, it's sexist in a way that, like, this doesn't even make sense. This is just confusing. What? If you don't have the dick a day, it'll lead to clit decay? What the fuck are you talking about?
And I want people to realize that when you say you're gonna give someone STDs, that means you have them. Like, I don't know if that's really a jab.
Like, I think he was trying to be like, oh, I'm so sick on the mic. I'll give you syphilis.
The mic has the...
But you literally just mentioned, like, fucking a chick for the last, like, 4 bars, so
You can't blame us for putting 2 and 2 together here, Dead Poet and or Wildcard. Ignite might tie Take a Mile as one of the worst.
Possibly. The lyric I pointed here that was just like, I'm done with this shit. 2 lyrics where he says, my lyrics rush through your body like a heroin high. And then, I'm pretty sure, like, the next lyric is, I'm vengeful and twisted. Junkies fiending for this like a syringe full of liquid. You literally just did my raps are like heroin, like, metaphor. You just did it. You literally just did it.
You gotta spread those apart there, Wildcard. And what I wrote down was the annoying part of the chorus. You gotta look out for the lion, the tiger, and the bear.
Oh, yeah.
That sounded so bad, and I don't know how they didn't sound or feel silly saying that.
Yeah, I think the next lyric was just as cringy. If you look, you'll see why there's suicide in our stare. It's a lyric that's purely put there for the badassness of it, right? They're not actually trying to tell you about, their issues with self-harm or anything like that. That lyric is purely there to be like, ooh, look how badass we are. You can see the suicide in our eyes. But that's not threatening, because that just means you're killing yourself, so...
I will say, though, Deathbed is, again, one of those, it's more personal.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's more focused.
The hook was boring as all fucking hell, though, but...
Yeah. I did think it was one of the better tracks, though. I have a weird... I can't say it's one of the best. I feel weird saying anything on this album is a best anything.
It's because it had a concept that actually did something interesting with it. That's like, this is a head and shoulders above the rest, but it's still not a song I want to listen to again.
That's the thing. When they meet bare minimum quotas and standards, I can't reward you for that, even if the song itself wouldn't compare highly to other songs like it. Like, it's still not good. It's just better than the rest of the shit you've had me listen to. And then the fucking album just kind of dies. To reiterate, I gave it a 2.
I gave it a 2.5. I was slightly nicer to it than you were.
I think it came out to a 2.2, and I originally had it written down as, I'll bump it up to 2.5, and as we were talking about it, I was like, nah, fuck that, I'm taking that back. Now, though, switching gears over to Wednesday by Chris Webby, requested by McSwagburger XL. Thank you very much for requesting this album by ya boy, Chris Webby. Darren, I'm curious, because this is an album where I'm wondering how we're gonna go. Where we're gonna go. How we're going to compare on thoughts on this album, so I'm going to toss it over to you first.
Well, let's start off. Track 1 was fucking awesome. I loved it. I absolutely love that track. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? Okay. The first song starts off just being like battle raps, and it's just like, all right, I'm having fun. The beat kind of sounds like You Ain't Never Had a Friend Like Me, like they're sampling the orchestral part, but we'll get back to that in a second.
Yeah, weird.
So yeah, the first track kind of has that going. I'm like, all right, a solid enough groove, and he's rapping over. And then halfway through, he goes like, fuck that, let's talk about these politicians. And I was like, oh.
It's weird how it went from 0 to 60, because at first he's talking about, like, mumble rappers, and how, like, are these the people you're really gonna...
Yeah, and I don't like that, the way he tries to go...
I was like,
the
all
super
right,
simplification of, like, I even took a lyric, it's like, I'll wrap circles around these cats without scratching the surface, and make these mumble rappers step back and start acting nervous. And if they aren't nervous and they don't know what I'm saying, maybe they can't understand it with that first grade education. Like, who said these guys only had a first grade education?
And then he goes on to be like, so, are you just gonna sit there and give these millionaires your money? It's like, you can say that about any musician. Like, would you say that about Jay-Z and Beyonce? Like, they don't need my money either, so what are you talking about?
There's a little bit of, like, I'm an underground guy, so it's okay for me to punch up at the big guys sort of thing.
Okay, that's fair.
But it like, as a listener, there's a way to do this. There's a way to do it in a way that sounds... Because here's the thing. If you're going to do some shit, like, I know you're an underground guy and you're talking about mainstream guys, you're going to sound kind of salty. So you have to do it in a way that sounds cool. When you specifically say, like, first grade education, like, that sounds like you're insulting someone specifically. And it's like, oh, you're not. You're just using it as a general insult. Oh, these guys probably didn't get out of first grade. Blah. It's just too... try hard with I'm going to get the underground fans on my side by clowning the mainstream guys, and it's just like, all right, we're over that,
And especially because the song really picks up when he decides, all right, I'm going to talk about politicians because I can't trust them either. And he really goes in on them, like, way harder.
Like, with the mumble rappers, he's basically shadowboxing. He's not really talking about anybody. You know what I mean? But he's just doing these silly little jabs that gets the underground whatever on his side. You can tell the difference with which he actually, like, gives a shit, because when he goes after the politicians, he goes into specificity. He says specific things that actually characterize the verse in a way that makes it interesting. So that's why I really ended up liking the track. And actually it was funny, is like, as I re-listened to it, I was like, oh, I forgot he kind of had this part of the beginning. Like, I was more into the second half. Why don't he just have the second half?
I don't know why you didn't just start with that shit where it got really cool and interesting.
And I love it because it's like, he ends the verse, and then a couple of measures goes by, and he goes like, who else am I pissed at?
See, I would have actually been okay if he didn't do that, because I thought that's where it kind of, it's like, all right, I think we're good. I think you probably could have just done that first bit, because then he barely had anything after that. He was like, oh yeah, who else am I going after? Oh, Mike Pence and the Koch bros. All right, I'm out.
You should have saved some of the parts of the first verse for this.
The track itself, Raw Thoughts, plays as like a stream of consciousness. There's no chorus. It just goes and goes and goes. And yeah, you could have split that up into two smaller parts, but instead it's like 90% is the first verse, then there's a chorus, then here's the other 10%. At the very end.
I will say, this fucking highlight line, where he says, in Jeff Sessions, you can suck a dick until your throat hurts, you old smurf. You try to take my weed, it's never gonna work. I'll be lighting up a doobie on your own turf. And Kid Rock, you ain't been cool since Joe Dirt. I was like, oh!
Can I just say real quick, this company, they do kayfabe commentaries, and they do interviews with wrestlers primarily. But because ICP were involved with, again, WCW in that weird late 90s, 1999 time period where they just had anyone in there doing
Lightning
whatever
really
they wanted.
struck at a bottle for some of these guys, didn't it?
Yeah. So they're talking to them, and people get to submit questions for the celebrities. And one person says, you had Kid Rock on your first album, and just kind of talk about, like, have you ever thought about, like, working with him again? I forget the exact question, but it's talking about Kid Rock. And then he gives it to him, and then there's just silence. And Violent J goes, Kid Rock's a closet racist. And this was years before the Trump thing. He fucking aired that dirty laundry like he couldn't wait. He just said it. He just sat back. Kid Rock's a closet racist. Because apparently, and you can go back, that track on the first ICP album, Kid Rock drops the N-bomb in that track. ICP even know better than to do that?
I feel like ICP is like the redheaded stepchild. Like, I know why people don't like him. I really know why people don't like him. But, like, I feel like on some things, it's like, you know what? Give him some points. Give him some points. They were one of the first guys to be like, fuck the rebel flag. We know what it really fucking means, and we're not bullshitting about it. You know what I mean? You know, as much as, like, there were some good jabs in there, definitely, there was one or two lyrics, like, with fucking Ted Cruz, your face puts me in a shitty mood. There's so much bitch in you, you probably should have a clit and boobs. And he just goes, you're a bitch, like in the background.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like, I think we got it. Like with the other song where that fucking dude goes, he says that you'll get bad luck like proof in the billiard room. In the background you hear, in Washington. Like, yes, we fucking...
We know, thank you.
It's like, yes. Look, the bar's already bad. Don't fucking prolong it by making it awkward.
I thought the track would have been a lot better if it was a little shorter. I thought it was a nice introduction, though. It really let you know, like, oh, okay, this is what I'm dealing with.
And then, after the fucking first track, with the beat that kind of sounds like, seems like they're sampling that orchestral part of A Friend Like Me, like, ba-da-da. I was like, all right, well, whatever.
Yeah.
You have track 2, Friend Like Me.
And I don't know why he has to, like, the never had a friend like it. Like, it doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit at all. Like,
I thought it was a fun track and there was some witty wordplay, but, like, I don't know why he felt the need to say that. It didn't really make sense. It just felt like, dude, are you, like, trying to get sued right now? Because it feels like you're fucking playing with fire.
My thing about it is, I think as I listened to this album, I kind of got what he was trying to do. He's trying to fucking monetize the nerd thing, you know?
Oh, well, yeah.
And I get it. But it's just like, it feels forced. Like, there's nothing wrong with putting in nerd references, nothing wrong with referencing, you know, things from your childhood or whatever. But, you know, it should have a context and make sense so that it feels like you actually care and know something about the things that you're referencing and not just putting them in there like a corporate company trying to, you know, throw in some references so that you know what I mean? So that they can promote it. That's what it kind of feels like at certain points. Like, literally, the lyric goes, the chorus, he goes, it is what it is, and that's how it's gonna be. Oil in my pen, burn it down low key. Y'all know me, I hit hard like Apollo Creed. You ain't never had a friend like me.
But we're not friends, Chris.
That's exactly. I was like,
I don't know
who you are.
And like the song "Never Had a Friend Like Me." Like, wouldn't you be doing things for me, or like being like, "Hey, you're always there for me, Chris"? You know, like if I'm down in the dumps, I need someone to call. You know, hey, I'm there for you. You never had a friend like me. You know, like I'm always putting my neck out for you. I'm there to cheer you up. Like, again, there's an ICP song that's all about that, where it's like, hey,
yeah.
If you need a favor, I'll do that shit for you. Like I hit hard like Apollo Creed. You ain't never had a friend like me.
Like, I don't need a friend who hits hard like Apollo Creed.
No.
Like, and you know, you think it would be like, I'm such a cool friend to have, but he doesn't even really do that. You know?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't at all. Which
like,
is
there's
weird.
literally no reason why he's saying, you have not had a friend like me, other than, Disney reference. You like Disney, right? I made a Disney reference. I sampled Disney. That's why you should like this song. Aren't I so in with the nerdy hipster culture? Because I am referencing things from the 90s. Like, that's what I feel like. It's just like, I feel like I'm being pandered to at a lot of moments in this album. And it's just like...
You know, I didn't pick up on that so much, honestly. And, like, I think I know where you might be going.
Like, I mean, like, in sense of the references and in the sense of him doing the, you know, oh, we all don't like the mainstream rap, right? Because they're all really dumb and they've only got first grade educations.
Now, how do you feel about Slow Down?
Which one?
Slow Down... Because that's where I thought you were going, where you're talking about, like, oh, like the samples or whatever. Because that song, the whole message is like, hey, you gotta pump your brakes, you gotta slow down. And throughout the track, which I thought...
Oh, I actually did like that one.
They had really slick use of Mario Kart 64 samples.
Yeah, I really dug the sampling
that was
in that one,
so
actually.
cool.
Yeah.
Like, choose your player! And you hear you hear that fucking stall out, like, whoa, 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 like sound in the background. Yeah. And it's like, it's relevant because he's talking pump your brakes, you gotta slow down, but it's not a song about Mario Kart. He's just using those because it's like, that's an amazing use of like, it's related, but it's not about that. And so few people do that. Like, most people would just write a song about Mario Kart.
And as much as I wanted to like this song, because I feel like this is one of the highlights, man, these lyrics, man. It's like, I'm in the lead, no catching me. Y'all as slow as Lil Yachty's brain works. It's like... And then he says, you can't take train to be here. Start, you can chew to choo-choo in the Chewbacca. Yo, what the fuck did he just say?
There are some tracks, and I wrote this down for a few, where I didn't care so much for the lyrics, but the song sounded so cool that it didn't really matter. And I think Slow Down might be one of those.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see it.
It was so high energy and fun. I thought the chorus was awesome. It had really cool use of the samples, so I was just here for it in general. So I wasn't really nitpicking it too much.
Rookie of the Year, one of my least favorite tracks.
Yeah.
First lyric, baby, I've been speaking my mind since Ocarina of Time dropped on Nintendo 64. Huh?
Ooh, wow, he could not have fucking spelt that out anymore. Jesus.
It was just so like,
yeah.
I've been on my grind since, this thing to date it, You like that reference? This was the track. Oh, fuck me. It was fucking track 2. It was on Friend Like Me, where he says, it's like I was made in a lab or something. The way I hit him with these raps and the tracks you bumping. They say I sound like I'm Eminem's rabid cousin who's still on drugs. Fuck it, I'm on acid bugging.
That's it.
It's just like,
man.
Oh, dude.
I knew I heard someone say it.
Look,
I just forgot who.
I feel like it should be a cardinal rule for white rappers to not mention Eminem or Vanilla Ice unless you have something really clever to say about it. What was that one lyric where he says, it's like I'm fucking Christina Ricci the way I put it down on a Wednesday. Yeah, Addams Family shit. And like, again, I already got the reference, but
yeah,
the only reason he's referencing it is because the album itself is called Wednesday, and apparently he was putting out tracks every Wednesday, but it's just yeah, and so it's like, that's one of those lines where it's like, if you know a bit more about what's going on, it kind of works.
Yeah.
But if you don't, it just sounds like why are you putting it down specifically on Wednesday? Well, like, what?
Out of context, it just sounds like you're flirting with a kid.
That's also partially what I was thinking. I was like she was like a kid in those movies, right? Like,
yeah, you could even be like, hitting on Morticia. It's gonna be fucking Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Fucking Christina Ricci is hot. Like, you can say that now.
Yeah, she's definitely hot now.
I remember we talked about that on Riff Comms about like, yeah, we thought Christina Ricci was hot in like the Addams Family movies and Casper when we were that age.
Right? Yeah.
It was okay at the time.
Yeah. Let me see.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Rookie of the Year either. It just kind of sounded like a kind of average brag
But it
track.
did have a dope lyric where it was, I'm on top like bald spots, make jaws drop, no bad business. Got the formula in my palm, watch, you think I'm cheating on math quizzes. I thought that was a dope fucking... Yeah, see?
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I dig that.
So I don't want to completely dump on the dude. It's not like he's just spitting these whack bars, but he has the same problem of Dead Poet and Wildcard. It's like, guys, not every one of these is a winner. It's like, it's way more lyrics than you're expecting. And I think the reason why they're doing it is because there is that very real sense of like, more is more. Like, let me just, the most lyrics I could put on a song, so many, it doesn't matter if the context doesn't even work. Throw that shock rap lyric into this fun party song over here. It's like, just because I'm thinking it at the time and I want to write it down. It's just like, guys, context,
I thought after that, though, is where there's a stretch of songs I liked a lot. Dazed and Confused, Middle Ground, Slow Down, The Stick Up, Call on Me, and Check the Vibe, I thought were pretty strong, or at least stronger than the other tracks.
You're right. No, I dug all those tracks.
I know
Ooh.
you were feeling Call on Me. That fucking, like, Drake dance hall song.
Oh, the first one was
Yeah, that's Call on Me.
Yeah, first one was cool. That was also the one in the third verse where he does the most pandering.
Oh no, what's he do?
I'm on the coastline like she's my Ariel on the beach, thick as Jessica Rabbit, but she's the belle to my beast, my Lola Bunny on the court hitting all threes. That was the point where I was like, what?
How did you feel about the Connect, where there's almost a whole verse of Game of Thrones references?
Well, I didn't get a lot of them, so I was like, I mean,
really? Oh, I was digging that, actually.
Like, I mean, I understood characters, but like, I felt like there were certain events he was mentioning that I didn't understand, so I was just like, oh, okay.
I'm over here waiting on the new season because I'm all caught up. So I've seen all that shit. So I was like, ooh, shit. I actually get all these references.
But it did actually have some dope lyrics in there where he says, coming straight up out the Cave of Wonders. Fuck, that was the first line, and I did not like that because it's just like fucking. You already did like 2 fucking references to Aladdin, 3 at this point actually, because he references fucking Jasmine, and then Friend Like Me, and it's just like, if these references meant something.
Do you think it's a coincidence that Call on Me features an artist named Aladdin?
I did not think about that. God damn it.
I just made the connection. It's spelled Aladdin.
Yeah. It looks like Aladdin, but yeah.
Yeah, I just fucking like, oh.
But he says,
oh no.
He says, mutant ninja rapper, baby, I'ma do my thing while I'm maneuvering through your ladies' ring. I was like,
okay. I dig that.
Like I said, like, it is not in any capacity all bad. This album,
no.
Let's just say this now. This album is better than the other one.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it
Leaps
is.
And fucking bounds.
God, it's about time that my request is better than yours. I felt like it was a competition. I'm like, yeah, I had Wednesday. But let me think here, because I skipped over a few. Days of Confused, Middle Ground.
Oh yeah, Days of Confused had that brassy production that I absolutely loved.
And I liked Ritz. He had a pretty sick flow on that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and I loved how their verses were like about something. Like, and Ritz's verse was like, okay, so the first verse is like, ooh, you know, you're really hot, girl, and you got me all dazed and confused. Another 90s reference, but
yeah,
you know, and it's like, it's so like it was written in a way that was just like, I know you just wrote this just to have the words dazed and confused in the chorus. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Okay, skipping past that.
It had the fucking trippy effects on the chorus.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
Oh yeah, I love the verses. Like the first verse is like, you know, Chris Webby, he's going through this thing with this girl, and he's like, oh, you know, I love her, but she's evil, but I just keep coming back, you know, that old chestnut. And then like Ritz is over here, like, I think he might be being abducted by an actual witch. She has my picture, you know, surrounded by fucking lit candles. And when I went into the room, she like cast a spell or some shit, and he actually calls her like she's a witch who knows how to do this. I was like, you should actually run though. Like the first verse is like kind of cute, like, oh, she's a bad girl. Like, I think this woman's going to like suck your blood. Like, you should leave.
Now, on Middle Ground, it wasn't too apparent to me, but it apparently is a sample of the Rock Bottom beat.
Oh, I hated that. Yeah. I was like, okay, again, I don't know, maybe he's just lampshading the fact that he's a white rapper and just be like, huh? I just used the fucking rock bottom beat, huh? You know, and I guess to ironically say, I'm not at rock bottom, I'm just at the middle ground, but it's also frustrating, you know?
I didn't mind it that much. I actually liked most of the components on that song. The flow, the lyrics, I thought the beat was all right. See, at first, I didn't recognize it as the rock bottom beat.
It's slightly pitched up. It's different. There's something different about it. But,
okay.
No, my only complaint is the beat. I actually really did like this song. I completely, like, this is one of those pitch perfect tracks where he made his point. It worked. Like, I got his life. I understood. You know what I mean? There was a weird lyric where he was like, I reinvest almost everything in this music shit. You really think I'd still live at my parents if I was rich? Really? And The way he says it is just, I know he's trying to sound like, understand my struggle, but it just came off as just slightly pathetic. Like, and like slightly pathetic in the way of like, sounded like he was just like, it sounded like he was very self-conscious about it and trying to defend himself. You know what I mean?
Maybe that was the point.
I know, but it just felt a little like, I mean, all right, dude. Like, it felt like there was like there was the whole part of the song where this is my struggle, and then there's this part where he's like really self-conscious about it. It's like, look, all right, I have to live with my fucking parents, okay? I don't want to do it, and it's like, oh, okay. You know.
The Stick Up was the song where I wrote down lyrics or whatever, but it sounds good, so it doesn't matter.
I hated the fucking cocking on the chorus, the cocking of the gun.
Oh, I liked that.
It's such a cliche in fucking rap songs, though, and it's just like, if you're gonna I think if you're gonna do it, you shouldn't do it that much. Because it's
okay, that's fair.
It ruins the effect of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it's like every other bar on the chorus is doing the cock thing and it's not even shooting. It's just like, all right, okay, I get it. It's supposed to sound dangerous. You know what I mean?
Now, what did you think about the fucking chubby checker? Let's twist again like we did last. Hey, it's not 90s. It's fucking 50s.
Fucking, what the hell was this? This was so, like, this sounded like a record exec was like, hey, you got to go with you got to make at least one song with a melody that everyone can recognize, you know? And I got just the melody for you. This one, oh, come on. Chubby Checker, he made this a hit twice in the 50s. Come on.
Yeah, I was going to say, what if it was originally like, okay, so I got this idea. It's about weed. And you're twisting the joints, right? Like you're twisting them, right? And we got the beat from The Twist by Chubby Checker, and then they get a phone call, and they're like, "You can't use the twist." It's like, all right, can we use twist again? Yeah, sure, Art. Wait, whatever. All right, we got twist again.
Oh shit, he really did use this.
Let's twist again because it's the sequel.
Oh shit.
And it's not as well known. People might actually think I wrote this.
There's a certain way to cover an older tune because, like, you know, older pop tunes, they just sound different from today. There's a way you have to update them that makes it fit within the context and not sound awkward.
Nah, I just said fuck that.
Yeah, this did not take any pains to do that.
No.
Dude, straight up and down, I thought, like, this sounded like it was on, like, the Disney soundtrack of some, like, shitty, you know, CG movie that I'm not seeing, you know? Like The Good Dinosaur or some shit, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, shit. Yeah.
You know, they're going through their bad period right now, or Pixar, or whatever the fuck it is.
Weirdo, I didn't care for that one either.
He was talking about his experience with ADHD and Adderall, and, you know, I was like, all right, that kind of, I was kind of feeling that one, actually.
I liked the message, and I liked the guest chorus, the Justina Valentine chorus and bridge. The beat was cool. I don't know. It
was okay.
I just wasn't feeling that much.
This album feels like someone who genuinely is a nerdy guy, but is kind of uncomfortable with that fact. So he's doing things to be like, look, I'm cool. I put gun cocks on my songs, and, you know, and I got a hot chick on the chorus doing a very mainstream poppy song that I can get a top 40 hit off of, you know?
The Connect, as I previously mentioned, is one of the better tracks, I thought. It was catchy, fun.
Yeah, I hated that one lyric, though, where he says, Webby, I'm a mongrel, I do it to you. What happened to those people that booked a room in the movie Hostel? I'm hostile. It's, again, with the fucking, we're desperados of desperation doing things desperately. Like, yeah, I know that there is a word that sounds similar to hostile, and it is also hostile. That's not creative. Do something with it, you know? He fucking starts the third verse by saying, I've been patiently waiting for a track to explode on. Stop it! Stop it! Like, dude... Like, I know it's a 50 Cent song, but it's a 50 Cent song featuring Eminem. Fucking stop it.
Oh, yeah. Then I kind of lost interest, unfortunately, after Connect. I thought University of Life was a very strong track. Same with Little Man.
Oh,
I thought those
University
were pretty good.
of Life and Little Man. You know, at first, after I heard University of Life, I was like, this is a great, teaching you something about the world track. And I think it actually goes into it in depth in a way that I can really respect. Like, this is what I want from someone like him who I know can make songs like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, he goes in depth, uses punchlines when appropriate, you know what I'm saying? But is worried about delivering a whole package. And I remember someone made an interesting point. They said, like, it's like, is it important to freestyle or is it important that you write your own songs? Someone's talking about, like, is freestyle, like, do you need to freestyle in order to be a respectable rapper, And someone made the point, is like, freestyling and making a song is like juggling and being a magician. Like, both are skills, but one requires, like, setup. One requires... You know what I'm saying? Like, one is just an impressive feat. Another requires, like, planning and doing a whole bunch of shit,
That makes sense,
and so he said, like, there are people who can write punchlines, and there are people who can write songs. And there are people who can write songs, and there are people who can write albums, And there are people who can write albums, and there are people who can write albums that mean something. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and it feels like he's still in that stage of, I can write punchlines, but I think that making punchlines... a good song makes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, oh, if I just overload it with a bunch of punchlines, they have to say I'm dope. Dude, Microphone Killer. Oh my God. First of all, never have I heard a beat that sounded less like a beat befitting of a Microphone Killer.
Yeah.
Fucking, my first Microphone Killer, I guess. Like,
Fisher
Price, my first Microphone Killer.
Yeah, the fucking bridge between The Connect and University of Life is kind of dull.
Oh, yeah, because Wild Things was also kind of whack, yeah.
And I wasn't a huge fan of Nightcrawler. Like, I thought it was okay.
I liked the idea of it. Like, the concept of someone... the sort of concept is just like, I'm a night owl and, I'm driving around and just staying up and because I can't go to sleep. But then the second verse, like, incorporates, like... stuff about mummies and, monsters. Like, it does it in a way that's, like, oddly unrealistic. And it's just like, but I thought we were doing a realistic thing before. So what the fuck is this,
Here's where I think we might actually be closer than I initially thought. What did you give the album?
I'm just looking at so there was a guest verse on Microphone Killer where the guy says, he says, we're the truth. We're the ones that you should bet on first. Yo, Webby, this shit's like 110 bar verse. Let's get it. It's probably because I never wrote my shit in double time, which means that now I have to go back and add a couple lines. I do love that.
That's funny.
That was a great moment of like, oh shit, I just realized what's happening. I'm just going to let you know what I'm doing right now.
I'm going to let you know if this isn't the best, that I'm new at this.
No, see, and that's the thing, like, I don't want to 100% shit on this album. Going to University of Life and then following it with Little Man. Going back to my point, I thought University of Life was a great track. And then I was like, ooh, you're doing 2 tracks in a row of the Let Me Tell Ya About Life, But it worked, because the first one was just sort of telling you in general, like, hey, don't fuck up and, take advantage of your life. But the second one was more personal and being like, hey, I'm talking to my kid, and it means more. I just wish these two would have been kind of spaced out. And I do love that line where he says, you'll feel a certain wind chill. That's just growing up. I was like, oh. That is sad. Good. And the lyric where he says, little man, you're growing up and you're here for more than just showing up. But you got to close one door in order for the next one to open up. But I just take it slow. Everything's going to be all right. Just know your time is now, but it's running out. I like that. I loved that last lyric. Your time is now, but it is running out. Like, it's just like, I don't want to I don't want to like freak you out and be like, you have to do something right now. But it's like, do keep it in perspective.
Don't take it for granted,
Yeah. Here's my thing about Campfire. I feel like I really liked that song, but by this point, it's so late in the album, there have been so many filler tracks, and I'm just like, man, because like, dude, listen to that beat with the little pizzicato strings. Like, it's actually fucking fire. It's too late.
It's after an hour and two pretty heavy songs.
Yeah,
the Spaceman.
One of those should have been the last songs. Like, hey, let's end this with something important. You know what I mean? So I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5.
I gave it a 3.5. I gave it a little bit.
Look
give
at
it
you.
an extra oomph. I gave it that half that I stole from the last album. I had to put it in there somewhere. Thank you very much for the folks who requested those albums. If you have an album that you would like to hear us talk about on the show, head on over to either one of our Patreons. It's patreon.com/rapcritic or patreon.com/muse. Check the pages for details and how you can request an album for us to talk about on the show. While you're there, check out our other cool perks. If you want to help us out with some money, but the perks on the page don't really interest you all that much, we do have merch up on both of our Teespring stores, so you can check those out as well. Follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube. If this is your first time listening, all of our old episodes are on SoundCloud and iTunes. And until next week, for the Going Off podcast, I'm Muse.
And I'm Rap Critic. And apparently our show has a better fucking catering budget than the goddamn president.
Oh, dude, I'm about to get some nugs right the fuck now.
Holy shit, I would feel so disrespected if I were the fucking president.
Did you see the picture where the guy had 2 packs of nuggets and 1 sauce on the plate? He goes, I can't even get enough sauces at the White House.
The fucking president of these United States of America just provided these fucking athletes with goddamn stale-ass McDonald's.
You know that shit was cold.
If that isn't fucking endemic of what's going on right, like, I really think there is nothing going on. Like, I really think our government system is metaphorically being held up with fucking gum and fucking paper clips while the really rich collect their cash and get the fuck out. Like, as soon as his presidency's over, he's just gonna drop the veil and be like, I was just pretending to be stupid. I just ripped all this money away from you, and these media outlets have been telling you about it for years, but no one did anything. Peace, bitch. I'm going, diplomatic immunity, going to a country where you can't fucking catch me. You know what I mean?
You know, he looked so fucking proud in those photos of that food. I wonder if any of this falls on the shutdown. Like,
definitely.
The person whose job it was to get the food for the championship teams, he's not getting paid right now, so he quit. So
but
spur of the moment, we got some Wendy's and McDonald's for that ass.
But here's the thing. You're fucking rich, right?
You just do it!
No!
But dude, what does he eat? That's what he eats. So that's his idea of like, dude, if I won a championship game, this is what I'd want. I'd want a fucking fillet of fish.
What a fucking tacky ass. Ugh.
What a fucking basic ass.
Because I'm just like, you're a fucking, like, provide them with some fucking Red Lobster or some shit. Like, goddamn.
Oh my god, really? Fucking, yeah. Everyone
like,
gets some Red Lobster.
Because my question then becomes, Mr. Trump, can you not afford anything more than McDonald's for these people? Because that really is the question.
I mean, did he order off the value menu or not? If he didn't, I'd say that he's going that extra mile. And that's get my respect.
Oh, man.
I'm just gonna say that I'm relieved for once that we're fucking ragging on Trump for something this kind of trivial and silly.
Yeah.
It feels nice that his fucking decisions aren't like impacting lives and threatening people and their livelihoods and their jobs. This time
I think shit's starting to close in, and that's why.
it's a fucking sports team that didn't deny my invitation, and I welcomed them by actually accepting. Shit! By giving them fast food.
Yo! Literally, there was a previous sports team that said, fuck you, we're not coming. And you sure showed them.
He saved that money from, what was it, the Super Bowl or the basketball team? Like, someone said, no, you had that extra money laying around.
Oh, you showed them what they were missing.
Hey, man, he made 2 stops. He got McDonald's and Wendy's. He didn't have to do that.
Don't say he didn't try.